Hello everyone, how are you doing? Welcome back to Viveka Service Society's Nirman, a capacity building institution. So today, this is the fifth session. We are going to look about what are CVs and how do freshers prepare their CVs and how do we make sure that our CV gets shortlisted when the recruiter comes to the college. So let's start with the resume format, and from there let's look at the types of the resume formats that are there, and from there we'll look at one simple sample for today and then we'll move on from there. So when you speak about a resume's key elements, what are very important in a resume format? First, you include your name as one of the key elements. So when you include your name should be written in a clear and bold letters in very simple font that whenever someone sees it is easily understandable. Do not use fonts like Roboco or anything. Try to go with Times New Roman 12 as the font. And you should make sure that you also mention your complete address, your mobile number and your email ID. And the second is about when you write about. When you write your about, it quickly explains the personality of a person in just couple of lines, 1 or 2 lines at maximum. And then you include something here as your objective. So when you say your objective, you include what are your motives, what are your objectives behind you joining a particular organization, and also you need to tell about when you join a certain firm, what are the changes you're going to make, what is the difference that you as a professional are going to make in that particular institution. That includes your objectives. And then comes professional skills. When you're speaking about professional skills, if you're a fresher, what do you write in that? Even I was pretty confused when I got out of my college to what to write in my professional skills. But yeah, you highlight the professional skills and extra knowledge that you acquired through your higher education. So probably you have gone to, you were in the leadership positions in your college, and you wanted to include the fact that you have managerial skills, you have leadership skills, and you wanted to tell about your interpersonal skills, your communication skills. All of these can be counted under professional skills, and based on the experience you have had in the college. If you headed one of the college fests or if you headed one of the teams in the college, you can include them as your professional skills. And if not for that, if suppose these days kids are starting to take courses like Python or Java courses, so if you've taken such courses, include the courses that they are there in your professional skills. And also, so this heading could be lacking for some of the freshers, but also it speaks a lot about the expertise you have in the field that you're actually in. And when you come to next comes the educational qualification. So when you speak about education qualification, mention all the degrees, all the certificates and also diplomas that you have acquired along with the name of the institution and the year of passing. Next, you include your professional experience. We've spoken about professional skills, now you include professional experience. And a lot of freshers might not have professional experience, but still you worked on your project, you've had some internships, you probably have gone for training somewhere. So you could include, you might not have full-time experience, but you could include the experience of freelancing, or if you had any training experience, or if you've gone through any internship experiences under your professional experience. And then the next set is language proficiency. So it is very basic. You mention the language you're proficient about, right? If you know a certain language, let's say you know Telugu, you write, speak, and also you speak, and also you can understand the language. So therefore, you can write about the Telugu as one of the languages, or English as one of the languages, Hindi, Punjabi, depending on the state you come from and depending on what all languages you've mastered. And the next one is about the extracurricular activities and the achievements that you have had. So the achievements you've had, or the achievements that you've gathered in sports or extracurricular activities, I don't think I'll have to mention a lot about it. If suppose you've been in the sports, or if suppose you're a dancer or a singer, or you've been a pretty good extracurricular activity participator in the college, you can include all of those experiences in extracurriculars. And then the last and very important should be the general information, that is concludingly you mention the basic details like the interests you've had, the hobbies, your date of birth, the nationality if you're an Indian, or the state that you belong to. All of these are included in the general information section. Now let us look at the type of resume formats. When you look at the type of resume formats, there are mainly 3 types of resume formats. The first is reverse chronological format. The second is functional format, and the third is a combination, that is we also call it as hybrid format. So when you speak about reverse chronological format, here the list comes like the contact information, resume, summary or objectives, professional title, then comes your work experience, skill section, then the educational qualifications, and then the hobbies, which could be optional basically. But the thing with this format is that it is mostly preferred by recruiters who come to your colleges, because you can skim through and it will give a very clear picture about what experience you had or what education qualification you have had, what skills you have acquired through studies, and also the timeline of your job experience and also your educational qualification. But it is very difficult for you to fill this as a fresher because you've got no professional experience, and also if you have any gaps in your career, let's say you're someone who finished your bachelor's and have taken a year or two years gap, and then you've gone for your master's but you have not worked in that gap period, then this is very clearly reflected because this is chronological format, because it includes the years what has happened in your age, in your life, starting from schooling to the college level to the masters or bachelors and whatever your qualification could be. So therefore you might want to choose alternate formats but not the reverse chronological format. Then comes the functional format. Functional format, it is also known as skill based resume, because the most important thing that is included in this is the skills that you actually acquired. So here this format differs from other because it focuses more on the talents and the skills rather than the job experience you've had, or talents or the skills that you acquired through the job experience you've had. So this also includes the contact information, then the resume summary or the objective, which is very common with all the resumes. Then comes your professional title and list of the skills that you possess. This is the most important part here. This includes the list of the skills that you possessed until now, including the educational and the professional if you have had any professional experience. Then again comes a skill summary. You give a summary about how you acquired a certain skill and how that has changed your personality and how that is going to have an effect on your job. So when you speak about additional skills are the skills that you acquired beyond your educational or beyond your workforce. So when you probably volunteered with an NGO or a service sector, or probably you work with a voluntary organization, that's when you acquire the additional skills. And these skills are probably through your extracurricular activities, and these skills should be mentioned in the set of the additional skills. And then comes the work experience and then the educational qualification. So here skill set is given the most importance and the educational qualification is the one that comes in the last. Then this is excellent to emphasize the abilities that you have, and it is also beneficial for any recent graduate because you have a lot of practical skills but you do not have job experience. Therefore it is a very good format for you to use. But the functional resume format, which it is not widely used in the industry, and therefore the recruiters or the people who you are going to work with or whom you are going to submit your resume to might not be very aware of the format that you are submitting it in. That is something you need to keep in the mind. The next is a combination or a hybrid format. When you speak about a combination or a hybrid format, as the name suggests, it is something that includes both the reverse chronological and also the functional format. So when you look at this emphasizes both on the skill and also experience of the person who is trying to give his resume as a fresher. So you first include your contact information and then the skill summary and then additional skills, then comes the work experience, and the least importance is given to the educational qualification here. It is not that it is less important, but for the fact that when you go into an industry, what is most valued is your skill set and also the experience you've had, but more than the degree that you hold. Degree is, let's say, an eligibility criteria to get into the job interview, but what differentiates you after you get into an interview from another candidate is the skill set you possess and also experience you have. Therefore, this allows you more to display more of your expertise, skills, all of that in a smaller space. So this is useful for mostly the senior professionals and also executives who need to emphasize more on their skills and also experience but less on the educational qualification. So the best format until now we've discussed the second one, that is a functional format, which is really good for the fresher candidates. Now we look at some of the tips and tricks that you need to follow when you're framing your resume. So For freshers looking for their first job, suppose this is the first time you've given your resume and you do not know what to write, how to write, which format should you choose, which font should you choose, should I go with the fancy format, should I go with the colorful resume, should I just go with the black and white, should I make it in a Word format, or should I make it in one of the Canva formats? So you might have all these things boggling in your head, but don't worry, let's start. First, for the fresher, as a fresher, make sure that you begin by creating an email ID which looks professional. It should include your name, and if your name does not have a domain in Gmail, then probably include a number with it, maybe your date of birth or your birthday or the year that you are born in, anything, whichever sounds good enough for you. First, once you make an email ID that looks professional, the second step is once you open in Word format, and then you have to look, once you start editing, make sure you write in Times New Roman. 11 or 12 is the font size that normally goes, which is a readable format and also clear for the recruiter to look at. And all the large fonts and fancy fonts should definitely be avoided when you're making your resume. It should look professional. It is not a creative activity you're doing. It is a routine activity. It is also something that should put you, your resume font and format is not something that should make you stand out from the crowd, but your skill set and the content that you write in your resume is what should make you someone who would stand out from the crowd and be selected to a certain company. And also, when you use a certain style or a font, make sure that the font or the style is similar in the whole of your resume. Do not make headings as 34 and then a certain line as 36. Do not make two headings to have different fonts and different styles. It is completely unadvisable. Be consistent with both your font and the style of the heading of your resume, and also make sure that you use always a readable format. Do not go for the colors like grey on white, because it is not visible despite the fact that it is very appealing to your eye. It is not a readable format for the recruiter, which is again drawback for you to put up such colors in your resume. And also, you have to skillfully mention the keywords in your resume. So make sure that you choose heading 1, heading 2, what are your objectives, and also vocabulary that you use should also fit in the job. Before you make your resume, try to read the job description, and once you read the job description, make sure that all the skills that are being asked in the JD, you have to include those skill set in your resume. Therefore, there is maximum alignment or matching between what is recruiter is looking and what you have on your format, on your resume format. Therefore, you have better chances of getting recruited compared to the person who did not make their resume according to the job description that was given by the recruiter. Then you have to use pointers more than the paragraphs. Make sure when you say objectives, you write as if 1, 2, 3 objectives, or when you say you have certain skill set, write first skill, second skill, third skill, rather than writing it in a summary or a paragraph format. And then keep your experience short and crisp. Make sure that whenever you write about your experience, you include the words which give out the whole essence of your experience, but you need not write things like you walked on the road for 2 kilometers and then reached a certain spot, and then from there you've gone into the campus, you sat in the seat, and then from there you've gone onto the dais and then spoken to the people. These details no one is looking for. Make sure you write the essence of what has happened, essence of your experience, especially people who are right now graduating out of their colleges. Do not write a detailed experience, because you do not have a detailed experience right now. What you have is a very crisp experience, and try to give it in a very crisp manner to the recruiter, whoever is gonna come in. And then filter the information very wisely, and you only put down the essential and latest information. If suppose you won a if suppose you got a gold medal in your 6th grade for playing shuttle in your school, please do not mention that. Mention the things that you have recently done, probably the sports clubs you have been part of and the cricket teams you have been playing in, or probably volleyball team or anything depending on the sport that you are interested in or the extracurricular activity you are interested in, and give updated information but not the outdated information. Then do not forget to proofread and edit it before you send it to the recruiter. Make sure even if you have proofread it, send it to one of your friends, send it to one of your teachers, send it to one of your lecturers or professors, or probably people who are superior to you, or your seniors, or maybe your parents, whoever are good enough for you to do your proofreading and correct your grammatical mistakes, spelling mistakes. These are spelling and grammatical mistakes are something that are going to turn off your resume right away when they look at it. So make sure that when you put out your resume, it does not include these mistakes of proofreading or the grammatical or spelling mistakes in it. So that's all for today. I'll see you for another session where we include the samples. I'm going to speak about specific questions that people have asked about resumes. We're going to speak about what a fresher should look at when they're making their resume in a very detailed manner. I'm going to bring in resumes, sample resumes for, let's say, graphic designer or IT individual, software individual. So we're going to look at all these samples in the next session. Please do follow, try to subscribe, and also click on the link and enroll yourself if you want your resume to be reviewed by our team. Thank you.